Between two worlds. 5 days passed like a dream. Kale had meant to leave after the first morning, to continue his wandering path, but each time he prepared to go, something held him back. Lyra would appear with questions about his herbs, her small hands carefully touching the dried plants as he taught her their names and uses. The other fox spirits grew gradually less wary, accepting his presence with cautious curiosity. But it was Selwyn who truly made him stay. She would find him in the quiet hours, early morning when mist still clung to the grove, or evening when fireflies began their gentle dance. They walked together along the pool's edge, sharing stories of their vastly different lives. Kale spoke of his years on the road, the loneliness that came with endless wandering. Selwyn described the weight of leadership, the constant vigilance required to protect her clan. "Do you never wish for something more?" Kale asked one twilight evening. They sat on a fallen log near the healing spring, where he'd been teaching Lyra to identify medicinal roots. The child had fallen asleep against his side, her small body warm and trusting. Selwyn watched her daughter with soft eyes. "I wished for her safety. You gave me that." She shifted closer, their knees touching. "But yes, sometimes I wonder what it would be like to have someone share the burden. Someone who sees beyond what I am to who I am." Kale's heart hammered as he met her gaze. "I see you, Selwyn. I see your strength and your tenderness. The way you love your people. The way you—" He trailed off, suddenly aware of how close they sat today. "The way I what?" she whispered, leaning in. Her breath ghosted across his lips, carrying the scent of pine and wild honey. "The way you look at me," he finished, his hand rising to cup her cheek. "Like I matter. Like I'm not just another passing stranger." Selwyn closed the remaining distance, pressing her forehead against his. "You matter more than you know, Kale Thorne. You've stirred something in me I thought long dormant." Her fingers traced the line of his jaw, leaving trails of warmth. "Tell me you feel it too. Tell me I'm not alone in this madness." Instead of answering with words, Kale tilted his head and kissed her. Selwyn melted against him with a soft sound of surrender, her hands sliding into his hair. The kiss was tentative at first, testing boundaries, then deepened as mutual longing broke through careful restraint. Magic sparked where their skin touched, visible as tiny fireflies of light that danced around them. They broke apart breathlessly, awareness of Lyra sleeping beside them bringing them back to propriety. But Selwyn's hand remained in his, fingers intertwined, and the smile on her lips promised more when privacy allowed. "Stay," she murmured against his temple. "Not as a guest. Stay as something more." Before Kale could respond, a sharp whistle cut through the grove's peace. A scout burst from the tree line, shifting from fox to human form mid-stride. Matriarch. Hunters. 3 of them, with iron traps, heading toward the eastern boundary. Selwyn was on her feet instantly, all softness replaced by steel. "How long?" "They'll reach our wards by nightfall." The scout's eyes flicked to Kale with uncertainty. "What about the human?" Selwyn's jaw tightened. "Kale is under my protection. He stays." She turned to him, conflict clear in her expression. "I must ask you to remain here, in the heart of the grove. Some of my clan still doubt your intentions. If you're seen during the chaos." "I understand," Kale said, though his heart sank. "Be careful." She kissed him swiftly, fiercely. "We'll finish this conversation when I return." Then she was gone, rallying her people with swift commands. Kale gathered Lyra close as the grove emptied, watching warriors disappear into the forest. The child looked up at him with worried eyes. "Will Mama be safe?" He held her tighter, his own fears echoing hers. "Your mother is strong. She'll come back to us." But as darkness fell and no one returned, Kale's certainty wavered. Somewhere in the distance, he heard shouts and the clang of metal. Every instinct screamed at him to help, to do something, even as he remembered Selwyn's words about staying hidden. Then Lyra gasped, pointing toward the forest edge. A figure stumbled into view, a young fox spirit, bleeding from a wound in her side. "Help," she called weakly before collapsing. Kale didn't hesitate. He ran to her side, his healer's training overriding everything else. As he worked to stanch the bleeding, his decision crystallized. He couldn't hide while Selwyn and her people fought. Whatever the cost, whatever the risk to the fragile trust he'd built, he had to act. "Lyra," he called, "show me the fastest path to your mother." The winter's test. Cale ran through the darkening forest with Lyra perched on his shoulders, her small hands gripping his hair for balance as she called out directions. The sounds of conflict grew louder, snarls, shouts, the vicious snap of traps closing. His satchel of herbs bounced against his back, suddenly feeling like the only weapon he possessed. They burst into a clearing where chaos reigned. 3 hunters in heavy furs moved with brutal efficiency, swinging clubs embedded with iron nails, poison to fox spirits. Several clan members lay wounded, unable to shift forms, while others darted around the humans in fox shape, trying to find openings. Selwyn stood in the center, magnificent and terrible in her fury, her partially shifted form showing claws and fangs as she defended her fallen. Blood matted her hair from a gash on her temple. As Cale watched, one hunter raised a crossbow aimed directly at her back. "Selwyn!" Cale's shout made everyone freeze for one crucial heartbeat. He grabbed a burning branch from a scattered campfire and hurled it at the hunter, spoiling his aim. The bolt went wide, and Cale charged forward without thinking, tackling the man before he could reload. They went down hard, and Cale felt a rib crack from the impact. The hunter was stronger, trained, and he flipped Cale onto his back, hands closing around his throat. Darkness crept into Cale's vision as pressure built in his skull. Then the weight vanished. Selwyn, fully transformed into a fox larger than any natural creature, had the hunter pinned beneath massive paws. Her teeth were at his throat, but she didn't bite. Instead, she snarled a single word that sounded almost human: "Leave." The other 2 hunters grabbed their companion and fled, dragging him between them. Selwyn shifted back to human form, swaying with exhaustion, and Cale scrambled to his feet despite the pain in his ribs, catching her before she fell. "You fool," she breathed, her hands clutching his shirt. "You beautiful, reckless fool. You could have been killed." "So could you," he replied, supporting her weight. Around them, the clan began gathering their wounded, staring at Cale with new eyes, no longer suspicious, but something approaching respect. "I couldn't hide while you fought. I couldn't lose you." Selwyn's eyes widened at his words, understanding their full meaning. "Cale." "I love you," he said simply, too exhausted and battered to care who heard. "I know it's impossible. I know we're from different worlds. But I love you, Selwyn Ashenfur, and I will stand with you as long as you'll have me." She kissed him then, heedless of the watching clan, pouring everything she felt into the press of her lips against his. When they parted, tears tracked through the blood and dirt on her face. "I love you too," she whispered. "I think I have since that first morning when I saw how gently you held my daughter." The clan began to murmur, some approving, others uncertain. An elderly fox spirit in human form stepped forward, his expression grave. "Matriarch, you know what this means. A human mate. It hasn't been done in centuries. The old laws." "The old laws also speak of life debts and honor," Selwyn interrupted, straightening despite her wounds. "Cale has proven himself twice over. He saved my daughter. He saved me. He chose us over his own safety." She looked around at her people, authority ringing in her voice. "I claim him as my chosen, and I will challenge any who dispute my right." Silence fell. Then Lyra, still perched on Cale's shoulders despite everything, shouted in her child's voice, "I want Cale to stay. He tells good stories and knows all the plants." Tension broke into laughter. The elderly fox spirit bowed his head. "Then it seems the clan has spoken, through its youngest voice." He approached Cale, studying him with ancient eyes. "You have walked a strange path, healer. Are you prepared to walk stranger ones still?" Cale looked at Selwyn, seeing his future in her hopeful expression. "As long as she walks beside me." They spent the night tending the wounded together, Cale's herbcraft combining with the clan's healing magic in ways neither had imagined possible. As dawn broke, Selwyn led him to her private den, a cozy space carved into the heart of the largest tree. "Rest with me," she said softly, drawing him down onto soft furs. Tomorrow we face whatever comes. Tonight, just be here. Kale pulled her close, feeling her heartbeat against his chest, and knew he'd finally found the home he'd been searching for all his wandering years. The spring awakening. 3 months passed in a blur of joy and adjustment. Winter loosened its grip on the whispering vale, and with spring came renewal. Kale learned the ways of the fox spirits, their magic, their customs, their language of gesture and scent. He taught them in return, sharing herbcraft and human knowledge that enriched their healing practices. But more than that, he and Selwyn built something precious in the quiet moments between duties. They would steal away to the healing spring after Lyra fell asleep, talking until the stars wheeled overhead. Sometimes they simply held each other, finding peace in shared silence. Other times, passion would overcome them, hungry kisses beneath the moonlight, hands exploring with reverent wonder, whispered promises against bare skin. "Are you certain?" Selwyn asked one evening as they lay tangled together in her den, firelight casting dancing shadows. "Once we perform the joining ceremony, there's no turning back. You'll be bound to this grove, to my people, to me. You'll age slower, change in ways you can't predict." Kale traced the line of her spine, watching her shiver at his touch. "I've never been more certain of anything. I want forever with you, Selwyn. However long forever is." The ceremony took place under the full moon of the spring equinox. The entire clan gathered around the sacred pool, dressed in their finest. Lyra wore a crown of wildflowers and served as the ring-bearer, carrying 2 bands woven from living wood. The elderly fox spirit who'd challenged Kale months ago now smiled as he performed the ancient rites. Selwyn wore robes of silver and white, her hair adorned with early cherry blossoms. Kale had never seen anything more beautiful. When she took his hands, magic pulsed between them, stronger now, familiar, welcoming. "I bind myself to you," Selwyn said, her voice carrying across the water. "My heart, my magic, my life. Where you walk, I will follow. What you love, I will protect. Who you are, I will cherish." "I bind myself to you," Kale repeated, feeling the weight and rightness of the vows. "My strength, my knowledge, my devotion. I will stand beside you in joy and hardship. I will honor your people as my own. I will love you until the world forgets our names." As they sealed their promises with a kiss, light erupted from where they touched, golden and silver intertwined, spiraling upward to paint the night sky. The clan erupted in celebration, voices rising in an ancient song of unity. Lyra launched herself at them, wrapping small arms around both their legs. "Papa Kale," she cried, using the title for the first time. "You're really staying forever now." Kale swept her up between them, his heart so full it ached. "Forever and always, little Ember." The celebration lasted through the night, but eventually Selwyn led Kale away to the den they now truly shared. She closed the woven door behind them, turning to him with eyes dark with promise. "My husband," she whispered, the word a prayer and an invitation. He crossed to her in 3 strides, capturing her mouth in a kiss that spoke of hunger long denied. They came together with desperate tenderness, learning every secret of each other's bodies, writing their love in sighs and gasps and whispered names. When they finally lay spent in each other's arms, dawn was breaking over the grove. "No regrets?" Selwyn asked, tracing idle patterns on his chest. "Not a single one," Kale replied, kissing her forehead. "Though I never imagined my wandering would end in magic and fox spirits and the love of my life." She laughed, the sound like bells. "Life has a way of surprising us. You came here a lonely healer. Now you're a father, a husband, and part of something larger than yourself." Outside their den, the grove woke to spring's promise. Lyra's laughter echoed as she played with other young kits. The clan moved through morning routines, now including the human who'd become one of them through courage and compassion. Kale had spent years searching for purpose, never realizing that purpose would find him in the form of a drowning fox kit and the mother who would become his world. As Selwyn dozed against his shoulder and sunlight painted golden patterns through the leaves, he understood that sometimes the best journeys are the ones that bring us home. 4 lines of wisdom. Love transcends all boundaries when hearts remain brave enough to trust. Compassion given freely returns as blessings beyond measure. Home is not a place, but the souls who choose to walk beside us. True courage lies not in fearlessness, but in risking everything for those we cherish.